everybody, Jeri Bellini here for my Arts and Parts, and oh my gosh, what's going on the table today? These are jewelry tools, and I've been thinking about doing a series, or maybe not even a series, maybe just a bunch of videos based on a lot of the classes that I used to teach at my bead shop. And so I don't know if you know, some of you do, that I owned a bead store for about 12 years. I had to give it up, unfortunately, because I have problems with my back. And so I am finding that I still do a lot of the stuff that I used to do in the bead store, and I thought I would share that with you because I think it's a great asset to have for mixed media and journaling. You know, to be able to make some charms to hang off your journals, or I don't know, a lot of other things. You could even make jewelry if it interests you. So I'm going to start with a basic discussion about what tools you need to do wire wrapping. I thought I would start with wire wrapping. And I'm going to talk a little bit about wire. So that's what I'm going to do today. So this is just kind of like an introduction, and let me know in the comments below if this interests you. We did a lot of bead weaving stitches, and we worked with metal, all kinds of crazy fun things. And I incorporate a lot of this stuff into my altered books. So let's get started, and today we're going to talk about the tools, which is what I have here on my desk. I've got you zoomed in a little bit, so the screen is pretty small for me. I'm going to try to stay right here, but basically you need 3 tools, and these tools are so beat up and loved because I've used them for a very long time. But your basic jewelry toolbox should include a pair of flat nose tools, flat nose pliers, I should say. And when I say flat, I mean that the inside of the tool is flat. There's no ridge in there, okay? And the tool, you can see the tool comes to a point, which you're going to need that point to get in close if you're working on wire, or if you're opening up a jump ring or whatever. So flat, no ridges in there. Now, the best quality that you can afford is always a smart thing, but I understand when you're starting out, you don't know if you're going to like it. Get yourself a decent pair of tools, and they do come in sets. I actually have an inexpensive set on my Etsy shop. You can take a look to see what I'm talking about. So you need a flat nose tool. This happens to be a German tool, so they're a little bit more precise, meaning they close really nicely. They'll meet when the tip closes, and gosh, you probably can't see that because the tool is so beat up. Maybe that's how, but see how they meet when you close them? You really want that, and you want a nice fine point. So look for that when you're looking for your own jewelry tools. Here is a round nose tool, and the actual end, this end is actually round, and if you see, you can see that it's round, but it goes from being wide at the bottom to very thin at the top. And again, you want something with a fine point so that you can get in where you need to. Okay, so that's the round nose tool. Here's a cutter, and I like, these are called flush cutters, and you see they're flat on the back, and they too come to a point. And you want to be able to get in close and trim your wire away. So you want a nice pair of cutters. Now I have another pair here. These are inexpensive cutters, but you see they come to a point. They come to a point, and they're flat or flush on the back. So they're flush cutters, okay? All right. So these are the 4 tools, or 3 I should say, 3 tools that you really cannot live without if you're doing jewelry work. If you want to go a little above and beyond, this is called a nylon jaw plier. Nylon jaw. Okay, and you see there's nylon in here. And basically what I use this tool for is to straighten wire. So if I have a piece of wire and it's a little, let's just really wreck one. Here's one. A little bendy. It's kind of twisted and bent and you want a nice straight piece of wire. You would take a nylon jaw and you would, let's see if I could do this on camera and I'm up in the air. You would pull on it like that. And it straightens it out. It gets out all the little bends and curves. Okay? So that's a nice addition to have in your jewelry toolbox. All right. Now that I've told you about those 3 tools that are must-haves, I'm going to talk to you about wire. And I've got several different types of wire here on my table. So let's talk about size of wire. Now, I know it's going to be a little difficult to see on camera, but I want to show you, and so I have 2 extremes here. Wire comes in sizes. It comes thin to very thick, and you can see over here, this is a very thick wire. It almost looks like a hanger, the size of a hanger. It probably is a little thicker actually. And then you can see it gets smaller and smaller. So the way wire is labeled, the thicker the wire, the smaller the number. This happens to be an 8-gauge wire. I don't know too many people that work with 8-gauge wire, but I happen to have some because we did use it in the store. We did all kinds of crazy things there. So I still have some of that. That's 8-gauge. Just to give you an idea, this is 14-gauge. This one is 20-gauge. Let's see if we can find the end. Hello. Here it is. 20-gauge. This one's 22 and this one's 24. So the 24-gauge is the thinnest wire that I'm actually going to be showing you right now. It comes even thinner than 24-gauge. It goes, gosh, I don't know how thin it goes up to, but in the jewelry world, we used up to and around 30-gauge. The thinner the wire you get, the more easily it can break. So, all right, now if I've thoroughly confused you, I apologize. I would say that the thicker wires are not going to be useful for what we want to do, which is some kind of wire wrapping. I would really recommend to you, if you're just starting out, to go with a medium wire, and I'm going to say it's this one. When I'm teaching, or when I was teaching in my store, I generally would use a 22 gauge, sometimes a 24 gauge, which is a little thinner wire, to teach my students. And the reason for that is it's softer and easier for you and your hands to work with. And yet it is very strong. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start out with 22 gauge, and in the next video I am actually going to show you how to do a little wire wrapping, and we are going to make a link, okay? And it's got a a loop on one side and a loop on the other, and you can make a bracelet, you can make a chain, you could do whatever you want with learning how to do this, knowing how to do that. The other thing is if you want to make a plain pair of earrings. So you would use then, and here I just happen to have an earring. Here's an earring, and you'll notice there is no loop on the bottom. It's just a head pin. It's just a flat head pin, and I have some here. So maybe we'll start with the head pin first, the pair of earrings first, and then we'll do the loop. But I think I'm going to do them in separate videos. So that's it. This was just my introduction to tell you a little bit about the tools and a little bit about the wire. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments below. I'm only too happy to help you out. And if you want to learn something in particular, ask me. I may have done a class on it, and I'm happy to share. So I hope you guys have a blessed day full of love and art, and I will see you again really soon. Thanks for watching.